and he's here to tell us about the school and give him a warm up.
All right, well, thank you. The 1978 when I started,
Okay.
instead of 74.
My name's Nash. I want to ask you a couple questions. Has there been any serious damage to the building or anything like that?
No, not really.
Not really.
Had some, went through a few windstorms, had a little bit of door blowed open, but no damage. Had some roof leaks and that, but not really any damage.
Have you ever found like any types of rats or anything in the building?
Nope, never seen any of them.
No.
Once in a while I see a mouse or that in the wintertime like now. Nobody
there-
complained any.
Is there like secret rooms or passages in the building?
No secret rooms. There's well, there's no passage, or well, we might call it that, but there's a heat run between the art room, or fan room, and the main fan room. Because the heat, for the old end of the building, where the art room and that end is generated by the furnaces up here, so it blows it underground and the fan down there.
If you could have any invention, like make your own to help your job, what would it be?
Never thought about that one. I don't know, I guess I wouldn't have to invent anything. There's plenty of things that they put in. I guess the best thing that they ever done here was put the elevator in. That made it a lot easier, moving things between the floors.
So that was help your job. Like, is there any other technology that's helped your job since you started?
Yeah, computers. 'Cause the furnaces are all run by computer now. Before it was kind of manual.
And is there any scary stories from the building that you know of?
Not really. When I first started, before they come through and changed all the lighting and that in the building, there was the hallways used to have all the old-fashioned lights. They hung them by a chain through all the building, and there was no lights on. Once it got dark, now there's like night lights are in the hall, so that it's lit all the time somewhat. Even some of the teachers wouldn't come in at night, and that kind of be no lights in here. You'd have to come in with them or that.
Is there any deaths or serious injuries occurred in here?
Nope.
Not really. How about some of the major changes that have been here?
Oh, yeah, there's been quite a few of them. They've upgraded the library in here. I think the first thing that they done, it was done the first summer that I was here, and that, they had the old, and then it was, your bookshelves run the other way. And librarian's desk, well, they didn't have really a desk. It was kind of a little room-like, I think, if I remember right. It sat right about in there. And they had a lot of tables that sat over on this side. But if you're ever in the custodial room, that workbench that's in our room is the old library table or counter. And that's down there. When they moved it, we confiscated it. Instead of throwing it out, we just took it, used it for a work area. Then they've started renovating the building in 1982. They've started in the north end, in the old end, and they've done it. I don't remember when the last one they done. It was this end of the building, but if you'll notice, top floor where the 6th grade is now, it's never been redone. That looks like just like it did when I first started here, other than they put the wall in between Mrs. Gallagher's room and where the computer lab is. That used to be all study hall when I first started here. When computers become the thing and they needed to, they put that wall in there and did that. Not really. They just like to write on the walls a lot. But, that's, you know, any school has that problem.
What about, has the school ever been toilet paper, or has there been any graffiti on the walls?
Oh, yeah. There's been some that we had to do some work on the outside one year where they graffitied the outside of the building.
Have there been any tornadoes around where we had to go into the, had to take a work, we had to get down the basement or anything?
Yeah, they had one. Say 6, 7 years ago, probably right at the end of the day. And that I was mowing the football field when they set the sirens off and they kept the kids in the building. I think the junior high was already gone, and the elementary kids that was still here. They just set the warning off, but there was none around here. There was just one somewhere close by. Other than that, that's the only time that they've ever actually had anybody in the building, other than when you've just had your training.
That's about all the questions I have. Does anybody else have any questions?
How was the heating system changed?
The heating?
Yeah, how?
Well, when I went to school here, back, I went to school 2 years, from 57 to 1959, and the furnaces then was run by coal. They had coal furnaces, and then they changed them in the early 60s, I think. They converted them over to gas, and there was 7 furnaces down there. There were 3 that heated this end of the building, and 4 that heated the gym and everything on the other end. And in early 90s, they changed them and upgraded them, put heavier furnaces in. And so there's just 1 furnace now that heats this side of the building and 2 that heats the other side. So they got 3 furnaces now where they used to have 7 of them. So.
Did you ever have any family members that went here?
Yep, all my children went to school here.
Cool.
The gym, how was it a big change when it went from Mrs. Gallagher's room to the?
Where's that now? Yeah, when before they built, when the school was set up, it was, if you've been studying it, you know, it's in 3 sections. And so when this building was built, that the gym was in Mrs. Gallagher's room, and that there was no partition or no wall there. And where Mr. Upperman's at, there was no wall there. That was part of the gym too. And then where Miss Carpenter's at, there was no wall there. That was a stage. That's why you go up the steps and go in. And that. When I was in school here, though, that was the typing line. If I remember right, shorthand and typing was in there. Well, there's been a lot of changes. When I first started, the old building, or well, you guys have been in the little buildings over there. That was in this first year when I started the school here. And so we had 4th to 12th grade was in this building. And if you get past, well, into the old, where the gym past the gym, high school kids wasn't allowed in the north end of the building. You didn't dare. So there was nobody, you never went there. I went to school here 2 years and I was never in the north end of the building. So I started working here. You just was not allowed there and you just didn't end up there. And that's all.
What made you decide to be a janitor here?
I was driving a school bus at the time. I was a sub for school bus driver, and the opening come up here, so I was asked to put in an application, and I did. So, been here ever since.
Has anybody ever graffitied on the school?
Huh?
Has anybody ever graffitied on the school?
Oh, yeah. Not too bad. There's some that gets on the outside, but that hasn't been too bad. Mostly just you're writing on the walls in the bathroom. Yeah.
In the guy's bathroom, there was like a mark in the corner, and it like looks like there's been graffiti there, but it's been like smudged off.
Mhm. Yeah, it's hard, once it goes on the permanent marker, you can take the main off, but a lot of times it'll penetrate the paint and that, and it'll stay right there. Yeah.
Who was your principal?
Oh, see, Mrs. Funston's the 5th principal that I had since I've been here, and I think 6 superintendents, something like that. Mr. Erick was the first principal, and that we had in the building.
If you could change anything, what would you change?
That's kind of hard to say. Everything works pretty good. We have a pretty good relationship with teachers and that, so it's, I guess if there's one thing I'd change, and that would be the stairs and that, the steps to the outside to the playground on the north end of the, it looks nice, and it's nice in the summertime, but in the wintertime it's an awful thing because it catches all the snow. There's a lot of work, yeah, because you have to clean it all by hand. So there's sometimes if the snow's bad, it takes 3 hours to just shovel them steps and that out in the north end. So that's probably the worst thing that they ever put in. Yeah.
Was the playground always there, or like when was it built?
Yeah. The playground, as far as I know, it's always been there. It's changed a little. When I went to school here, the swing set out here on this side, you know, where the big tree is, where we park. That's where the swing set when I went to school here. And then they moved it over. The playground equipment's all changed. You used to have a big sliding board. It was metal. It had about 10 feet in the air and that. So it was pretty good size. It had, but that's changed and that. Kind of, they had teeter-totters and different things changed, and that is styles and what kids get used to changed out there. But as far as I know, the playground basically has always been there where it's at now.
What part of the school was your favorite?
For cleaning, that now, the base or the lower floor is easiest because you don't have to go up and down the steps. But as far as keeping the floor clean, probably the dark floor up on the 4th grade level where like Mrs. Gruber and Mrs. Hughes, that's the old original floor that was put in when the building was built. That's never been changed. And that's the easiest floor there is to clean. Yeah.
Is this, do you know if this school's really built on Indian burial ground?
That I can't answer you that.
Anybody else have any more questions? Anything else you can think of that you'd like to share about the building?
No, when they get the new one built, and that, it'll be a lot different. It'll make a lot of change in that, even for kids, I know, and that, it'll be a lot of change. Yeah.
What are they gonna do to the building, to this building, once the new one's built?
I guess nothing has been definitely said, but I would imagine it'll be tore down, and that from just the way things are kind of going. It would cost and this is my opinion now, it's not the administration's, it would cost them, whoever, if they'd sell it, whoever would buy it, would have to spend probably as much in the building that they'd have to pay for it to do whatever they'd want to do with it, because they couldn't use it, or wouldn't probably use it for education, and so that's what it was built for. So if you make a change, then there's laws that go into effect that makes them have to spend the money to bring the building into code laws and that. So they'd have to spend a considerable amount of money in the building to bring it up to what the state would say. Yeah.
Do you know if there's, when you worked here, has there ever been like a small fire that set off the sprinklers?
We don't have no sprinklers in here, but
Well, that takes the fun out of everything.
yeah, don't get wet, huh? There's been a couple accidental fires, we'll put it that way, in the buildings, and been long and in between, but yeah.
Does it upset you, will it upset you if they do tear down the building, like, because it was kind of your first school?
No, I can see why they're doing it and that. It'd be nice if it was, they able to keep it. I know there's a few people in the community that would like to see it, but there's too much liability with it and that, keeping it and that, so, yeah.
When you first started working here, were there any rooms you were afraid to go in at first?
No. There's talking about changes. When I first started here, you'll notice on some of the doors that there's bars on them that locks more security than that on the doors at night, which never used to be. You didn't worry about somebody coming in and that, but now you have to worry about going out and the doors not locking behind you or that, so they're pretty secure now. There's only one or two doors that you can get into this building and that after it's been shut up. That's because there's only a couple doors that you can use a key on to get in the building. Yeah.
How long does it take you to clean the whole school after everybody goes home?
There's two custodians working. You know, the other is Larry and Larry, because we're both Larry. I work from 6 to 2:30, and Larry works from 1:30 to 10 o'clock. So there's somebody in the building. He starts work when he comes in. We're both here for an hour together doing work. So he's here cleaning and that until 10 o'clock at night. And that, so it takes him about that long to get through and clean all the rooms and that.
All right, thank you very much, Mr.
Okay.
Hasey, for coming in. Appreciate it.
All right. Glad you're interested.
Okay, you can go ahead and stop. Today we're interviewing Mr. Ed Erick. He was principal from 1968 to 1996. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Erick.
Thank you.
Is there any particular room in the building that you can tell a story about?
Any particular room? Think about that.
Where was your office?
Well, originally, the office was right over here. And it was there for a few years that I was here. Then the superintendent used to be where the office is now. And that was his office, so we moved over into there, and then they moved over to the, what I guess is known as the White House. When I was principal, and in this office here, the actual superintendent's office was in what I guess now is the computer room, or the guidance room,
Guidance.
which is still guidance. Okay. That was the superintendent's office, and at that time, the clerk treasurer was in there. So pretty much all the administrative offices were superintendents, clerk were in that office there. Probably one room that I kind of think about a lot is the home ec room, where it used to be used for, when I first came here, the grades 4 through 9 were in this building. So there were home ec classes up there for 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. And then the 9th grade went to the high school, and this became the 4th, 8th building. And I think now it's not used at all for any home ec, right?
Nope, we don't have any home ec.
What, the teacher's lounge maybe now?
No, it's a classroom.
Classroom now, okay. I think at one time it was the teacher's lounge maybe for a
It
few
was.
years. And, so that room has undergone, maybe not physical changes, but I assume it has. I haven't seen it for a long time, but it changed a lot as far as how it was used.
Do you have any scary stories about the building?
Scary stories. Well, I remember one time I got a call about, I don't know, sometime in the middle of the night, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or something, to come up here because the doors were open, and I met the policeman up here, and I kind of remember he let me come in the building first. So if there was somebody in here, I would probably have gotten either shot or hit over the head first, maybe. And that was a little bit, that wasn't scary at the time, but after I thought about it, it was a little bit scary. And then if you were in here late at night by yourself, there's a lot of noises that go on. You can imagine that there might be someone there, but usually there isn't.
Do you know if the building was built on the Kennedy and burial ground?
No, I never heard that.
Has the building ever been damaged?
Yeah, it's been vandalized, it's been water damage, I think, extensive water damage over the years back here on this corner of the gym. Water used to run in there right through the light socket, pour out onto the floor. Maybe it still does, I don't know. There was a lot of damage, I think, has been caused by water on all parts of the roof. Mainly the gym roof and the far north end got a lot of water damage.
What special programs do you remember that happened in the building?
Special programs. Oh, gosh, I don't know. We used to have some assemblies and bring in outside acts and performers that went around from school to school and gave assemblies. I remember one came in that played music on glasses and entertained the students. Of course, we had a lot of ball games and we had a lot of concerts, but those were my school kids, of course. One other time we had a person come from Mansfield that portrayed Uncle Sam and gave an assembly about Uncle Sam and our country and things like that. A few years ago, there was quite a controversy about some water wells that were being drilled out to the west of town, and we had several meetings in here for the community about what that might mean for Knox County and Fredericktown as far as the underground water supply is concerned.
How has the school building served the community?
Well, I think over the years it's probably served it pretty well. I know that in Fredericktown there are a lot of people that still remember going to this school and are proud of it. I kind of wonder what happened to a lot of the things like the trophies and class pictures, things like that, when this building's no longer used.
How has the equipment changed in the
Well, now are you talking about?
like computers?
Yeah. Well, of course, when I first came here, there weren't any computers in here. Probably the most advanced equipment we had were reel-to-reel tape recorders called Woolen Sacks, was the brand name of them. Then came more modern film strip projectors, overhead projectors. I can remember that the first video camera we had, you had to have a cart go around with you all the time because the tape was on a reel-to-reel, and it was a great big box. The camera was separate, and it was not very mobile. And then computers began to appear. And probably the biggest problem with all of the technology was the lack of electrical outlets and power to plug them into so you could use them.
We just had a winter storm, and you were principal here during the blizzard of 1978. Can you tell us about the school during that time?
Well, during that time, the school was used as a shelter for several days. And people came in from areas of the county, outlying areas, when they could get to them, and they brought them in here, and some of them stayed here for a few days, some for just a few hours until, they got their home straightened around. The one thing I remember most vividly is whether it was one man or a couple, anyhow, they brought their dog with them, and it was a big old basset hound, and he died down in the boys' restroom.
There was death in the building.
Huh?
There was a death in the building.
Yeah, and so we had to get that dog outside and not leave it in the building.
But that was during the blizzard.
That was during the blizzard time. Yeah, they brought him in because they didn't want to leave him at home. While he was here, he passed away.
What is your favorite? What's your favorite part of being here?
Favorite part? I guess just kind of seeing that the building operated properly and that it was open and that it was ready for school, and that the custodians did their job trying to keep things clean and floors swept. Spent a lot of time on that, and I spent a lot of time on discipline. That wasn't the very fun part, but I guess my major concern was trying to keep the building organized and ready for school, and so that the teachers could do their job.
And that's all the questions I have.
Okay?
Hey, does anybody back here have some questions they'd like to ask Ms. Larry?
Okay. Pardon me? With the one down by the back of the gym? Not that I know of. I never found or saw anything in there. Never heard that story either. Okay.
Was there a kid that you remember so well because he got in trouble a lot and he had to be whipping or pounding a lot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember one student when I first came here, I think he was paddled 17 times in 1 year. Not by me all the time, but by teachers and by me. And then one other time we had a student that got 2 weeks detention after school. And he decided that he would rather, this was with a teacher, he decided that he talked the teacher into giving him 2 whacks a day instead of taking detention. So every day after school he would run in and the teacher would be there, he'd get 2 whacks, and he'd go jump on the bus and go home. It's been pretty painful.
When that dog died, did it die in this part of the bathroom or the?
Yeah, this one down here.
Sweet.
I wonder.
Has your parent ever yelled at you?
Pardon me?
Has a parent ever yelled at you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, lots of times.
Was Mrs. Eller like good when you had her?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I don't ever remember her getting in any trouble, to be honest with you. You know,
That was nice.
she was a good person and a good student, and I'm sure she still is.
I remember working in the office when it was over here, and on fire drill days, you always had a note with red marker that said fire drill.
Yeah.
So I knew ahead of the other kids that there was going to be a fire drill.
Yeah, you had to, so I didn't forget. Yes, sir?
Has a kid ever tried to fight you before? That's why.
Well, not really. I had to try to remove a kid from a 5th grade classroom one day. It was a little guy. He was kind of in trouble a lot. One day he left school and went out. I don't know whether they're still there. I guess they are. He went down in there and climbed up a big pine tree. I couldn't find him for a while. And then one other time he wouldn't leave the classroom, so I tried to carry him out, and he grabbed me by my tie and told me he was going to choke me. But he didn't hit me. Yeah. Yes, sir.
When you took the paddle the kids, did you open up all the doors and stuff so everybody could hear it?
No. No. Nope. It was done in private. Yeah. There was a witness there besides me, another teacher. Yeah. Yes?
If there was one thing you could change, what would you change?
About what?
About anything in the building.
I guess, well, one thing I would have liked to have changed would have been that all students realized why they were here. That was to get an education and cooperate and behave themselves instead of getting the idea that school's a place to come and act up. Yes?
How long have the doors been off the stalls on the boys' bathroom? Right down there.
Mhm. I don't remember there ever being any doors there.
Has there been someone to try to jump off the school building?
Pardon me?
Has someone ever tried to jump off the school building?
Not that I know of. No?
Weren't there some science experiments or something done off the roof of the building though?
Egg dropping.
Mm-hmm. They drop eggs or something?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't remember that if there was. Yeah. Not very many.
I don't know if you're a principal at the school now, but you know what happened to the bell tower?
No. No bell tower when I got here.
Any other anecdotes or things that we didn't ask that you wanted to share, or we covered just about everything?
Well, I don't know. There may be a lot of places they've never been, like the attic and
Why don't you tell us about the attic?
the fan rooms. And
Tell us about those.
the furnace room, some of those types of things. Well, the attic is in the far end of the building, and it's kind of spooky up there. It's pretty dirty, and it's, I don't know what's up there now, but it used to be just full of old desks and play props and scenery. And I remember back they had a program, a government program where they paid people that needed money if they would come and work somewhere in a public building. And we had a guy that came here, and he spent several days taking things out of the attic and getting rid of them. But down in the fan rooms, there are huge fans that circulate the air in the building. but they're kind of dark and dirty and kind of interesting, but
And where are those rooms? Where are the fan rooms?
they're off of the furnace room, and then there's one off the art room. But what used to be the art room, room 4, whether it's still the art room or not.
Anything else?
Okay?
What is that room right down in the hallway that has the like do not enter sign on it? The do not enter sign on it?
The metal door,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the furnace room.
Oh.
And when I first came here, the building was fired by coal, what they called stoker coal, which is little tiny coal pellets, and they drove trucks down in and dumped them right down there on that big cement place, and there's a coal room downstairs. It was full of coal, and the janitors had to take a wheelbarrow, fill up the wheelbarrow, bring it out, put it into what they called hoppers, and they had an auger, and the augers ran and fed the coal into the furnaces. And then every Saturday morning during the winter, the custodians came in and worked and carried out what they called clinkers. But probably they don't even know what they are, which were great big hard pieces of coal and things that didn't burn up. They had to clean out. One of the custodians had to climb inside the furnaces and get all of that out. They put it in huge, like big, heavy garbage cans. They had to carry that out, and then it was gotten rid of. Trash. And when I was here, I don't know whether Mrs. Elder remembers it or not, but sometimes in the winter, the lower hall would be kind of full of blue smoke, or a blue haze, because all of the heat tubes and things were wearing out, and the building was not venting properly. And that's when we then had to tear out all the old heating system and put in gas, natural gas.
Was the elevator installed while you were principal?
No, no. That was the book room where they stored the piano and all the books for grades 4 through 6.
Are there any rats in this building?
There was one once, but it didn't get, it was over in what used to be my office. There was a back room and there was a toilet in there, and it dried out, and a rat came up through and got as far as the toilet, and then the janitor attacked the rat. That was the end of it. So we had to take that toilet out, fill it with we plugged the hole with concrete. But no, I never saw any rats. We had a few mice. They were caught, of course. Probably still had a few mice around. Did you have another question?
Has anybody brought like major weapons to school before?
No. A kid had a BB gun out front one day, was shooting at the front of the building. And then few kids had pocket knives, but nothing, no guns that I knew of while I was here. Yeah. That came later, I think. Maybe there was one later, a few years later.
Anybody else? Our final time? Okay, thanks, Mr. Erick.
Okay.
For coming. Appreciate it.
What's the pole for?
Well, that desk used to be over here, and it's a power pole. That
Oh, okay.
checkout desk used to be
Okay.
here, and
That's right. All right.
that's, they just never removed it. Yeah, go ahead and stop that.
Mr. Shipley graduated from this building and was a student here when the middle section was built.
Hey, good morning, class.
Good morning.
I came to Melbourne School in 1937 as a 4th grader. My first 3 grades were at a country school, a one-room country school up northwest of Fredericktown, Fredericktown on Quaker Road. The school building is still standing. It's now home at the corner of Yankee Street and Quaker Road. at that time I started school in 1933, and they consolidated 2 country schools, so they had to have a bus to transport students to the other school. And a neighbor across, I lived right north of Mount Vernon on what's now Zalman Road, about a mile up there. And a farmer neighbor across the road bought an old Dodge touring car and made it into a school bus, painted it orange like we have now, put school bus signs on it, and made 2 trips every morning and afternoon to transport students. You could haul about 9 students in the school bus. And in the first grade, I was the only student in the first grade in this country school. Now, I was eight grades, you understand, in country school at that time. And I can't recall how many students were there, probably 30, maybe less. But anyway, by 1937, the school boards in Noss County and Fredericktown area decided to do what they called consolidate schools. That meant bringing all the country schools together into Fredericktown for classes here, because it was just a modern thing to do. It had better facilities, and you didn't have to fire up a pot-bellied stove in a one-room schoolhouse anymore, or go carry water for students to drink, outside bathrooms, and all that sort of thing. So in 1937, they got all the country schools around Fredericktown all together, and all the students came to here to school. So I came as a 4th grader in the old school building to the north, on the north end here, as a 4th grader, and my first teacher was a Miss Revenaugh, who was a local woman. Grew up northeast of Fredericktown. She was very, very good, very intelligent lady, and I think I learned a lot from her. Now, at that time, many of the classrooms had what we called cloakrooms. And one end of the room, or one side of the room, was a wall that closed and enclosed a long, narrow area. You walked in behind to hang up your coats and put your boots and maybe your lunch pail if you had one. At that time, by the way, we didn't have cafeteria. That was in the future. Cafeterias were in the future, so everyone packed their own lunch. Anyway, the cloakrooms had been built for students to hang their winter clothes in there. And each grade, of course, had a teacher. In the basement was an art room, and what else? Restrooms. And electricity, of course, at that time, in 1937. And the teacher, the art teacher, was a woman by the name of Fern Lewis. She was an exceptionally good teacher, and had a little story here. My sister, who's 2 years younger than me, seemed to have a knack for art, and she went on to become an art teacher and taught for 30 years teaching art in mostly New York State when she was married. But anyway, there were, I guess, 2 floors in the basement, I guess that's what it was. Now I think the north end of the building is still red brick, isn't it? And it's been faced since then, so the whole front of the building looks the same. But it was a very old building, and I'm not sure when it was built, 1910, maybe early 1900s?
Well, one of them was built in 1918.
Okay, that was probably it, yeah, 1918, yeah. This school was built, well,
No, I think this one was built in 1918.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that one was built maybe in 1890.
yeah, that sounds better, yeah. I looked for the numbers when I drove in, and I couldn't see them. Yeah, that's correct. Anyway, it was an old-fashioned school, and I can remember the steps were made of wood and they creaked when you walked up. And now they're all cement, of course. And they had central heating by that time, so all the rooms were warm. So 5th grade, I had another teacher who was a local woman by the name of Esther Curtis. Miss Curtis grew up right close to where I went to country school. In fact, right behind it, on a farm. And she was a very nice gal and very outgoing and very funny, laughed a lot. We had a good time in the 5th grade. And then the next year, the 6th grade, my teacher was a woman by the name of Audrey Jenkins, Miss Jenkins. And Miss Jenkins was a single lady, and her home was over around Sparta, so she didn't grow up that far away. And there were probably, I'm guessing, I can't remember, 25 in each class at that time. And so Miss Jenkins' class was on the 2nd floor, southwest corner of the old building over here. And had windows on 2 sides, to the east and to the north. And so we could see out on the lawn between the 2 school buildings. By with the consolidation of schools in 1937, a lot of students in here. There wasn't enough room for everybody. We didn't have any modern facilities. So the school board decided to connect the 2 buildings. And as I remember, they raised a bond issue to raise the money. And they started 1937 to excavate between the 2 buildings for more classrooms, a nice gymnasium, cafeteria, which all this is still there, by the way, now. Cafeteria, showers, stage for stage plays, auditorium, of course, where they play basketball, I'm sorry, gymnasium where they can play basketball, and seating, of course, and classrooms up front. So in 6th graders in Miss Jenkins' class were able to look out and watch this construction going on. And they dug for the basement, of course, and poured cement for all the foundation. And now the sign on the building says 1938, and that's when it wasn't quite finished yet. I think that's when it was started, 1938. And so the building started going up. And one of the things I remember very vividly was there was a huge beam across the center of the auditorium of the gymnasium. It must be 70 feet long, a big steel beam. It had to be for support of the roof. And so they, when they got ready, they got all the supports built up and got ready to put this steel beam up on the supports. They put a crane out there and set it all up to lift this beam. And I can remember seeing the crane out there with the beam all ready to go. And when they got ready to do that, they moved all the students out of that side of the building in the event something went wrong and the beam crashed down or whatever. So they moved us all out one afternoon, and they got it all up and got it in place without any incident. They went on with construction of the building, and we got to sit there and watch all this time. So that was really interesting. It was finished then by the next summer, and by that time, of course, I was 7th. By the way, the grades were different then. First 6th grades were called elementary school, 7th and 8th were called middle school, junior high school, not middle school, junior high school then, and then 9, 10, 11, 12 were high school. So next year I was in 7th grade, and we moved into the new school and started using those facilities. It was really great. We could have our gym classes in the new auditorium. To back up a little bit, the only auditorium or gym or basketball floor then was right above us. I think that's a big study hall now, is it?
It's classrooms now.
Classrooms, yeah. As I recall, there was a stage at one end. And I remember when I was 5th, 6th grade, we had a gym teacher by the name of Roy McKinley, who was later principal and then left and had a long career at Coshocton as superintendent of schools. Mr. McKinley was a gym teacher, and he had on Saturday mornings for elementary school guys, he had what they called junior, I'm trying to remember the last name now, but we could come and play basketball. And so I remember playing basketball on this floor up here when I was about 5th grade or 6th grade maybe. So then we had a nice brand new gymnasium where we could play basketball, have school plays on the stage, and lots of nice seating. And built into this thing was a projection room, and all that's still there, of course. And visual education was just becoming a thing, and the school bought a 16mm movie projector. And so we could show movies at noon, and then it could be used around for movies in classrooms, visual education. Now you all have computers and television. I was really taken with that movie projector the first time I saw it. And I really wanted to run that thing. So I worked my way into where I got to be the operator of that 16mm movie projector. And I remember showing movies at noon, half-hour movies of some sort. I can't remember what they were now. That students could go and watch during the lunch hour. We had a cafeteria, and that was great. We could bring our 30 cents, or I think it wasn't very much then, although it was a lot. This, by the way, was during the Depression, middle 30s, and so not everybody had a lot of money. And I never wanted for anything. My parents always had a job, but anyway, 30 cents was a fair amount of money for lunch, and we had a nice place to eat and a good kitchen, nice place to eat. And right behind it, and all this is still out back here, was the shower rooms for you could go take a shower after you went to gym class. And that was unique because I didn't know what a shower was till I came here. So we had new classrooms, and we had a band room, which was right over here behind the office. And when I got in high school, I played a bass drum in a marching band. I wasn't very good, but I got it by default. Nobody else wanted it. And so, but that was fun for a couple of years. So then over the years, the old building has been altered considerably, and different classrooms. But I remember the art room particularly. And we played the playground, was where it is now, and it wasn't paved all over like it is now, and mostly a parking space. At the end, next to the street, we had a little softball diamond. I think we had a backstop up there maybe. And we'd play softball at lunch hour and recesses. And by the way, softball then was round robin. Did you ever hear of that? Do you guys know what that is? You go up to bat, and when you get out, you go to the outfield, and the pitcher or catcher would be the next one up to bat. And you had 3 people up to bat, or 4 people. I don't think we had any basketball hoops out there. So I guess growing up, you remember all those names and all those people. And so anyway, going a little further, in high school, during the war, we had what we called at that time we called a shop teacher. Now it's called industrial arts or something. We had a woodworking shop and some metalworking. And we had a teacher by the name of Ed Whittemer. Mr. Whittemer started a little photography club. This was during the war when there wasn't much film around. But anyway, a little photography club, and we had a couple rooms where we could hand develop film, make contact prints. And that's where I got interested in photography that eventually became my career. I got just held on to it. It just fascinated me all the way through, and I ended up in the Army as a photographer too, which was kind of interesting. Where are we? Got any questions?
We ought to give them a chance to ask you some questions.
Sure.
You guys have some questions you want to ask him, or if not?
To be more specific, how long have you been
What?
a
The
student
student?
in the school?
Oh, okay. From 7th grade through high school. I graduated in 1946, came here in first fall of 1937, and I graduated from high school in 1946.
Now, when you went to school here, did you have any specific rooms that you really, really liked and that you were happy to actually go in?
Yes, I think so. Right across here on the corner was our chemistry and physics room, chemistry labs. We had things in there to do chemistry experiments, and I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed science, and my teachers then. I'm trying to think of their names. Can't come up with them, but that's all right. Yeah, that room was interesting.
Did you have any rooms that you didn't like?
Maybe. One right next door. Math room.
I don't like that room either, don't feel bad.
I'm not a great math student. And so I really didn't get along very well.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, what was your favorite class?
You know, I really like history. And I wondered sometimes why I didn't go to college and study history rather than what I did. But history class was one of the new classrooms on the second floor up here. And the teacher's name was Miss Oldham, Elizabeth Oldham. And I recall enjoying those classes, yes. Yes.
Do you remember having doors on the boys' bathroom?
Sorry.
Do you remember having doors on the boys' bathroom? Was there
Yeah, I think there were doors there, yeah.
Dude, that's not fair.
Yes, answer.
Yeah.
When the blizzard hit, there was a lot of people that came here because their houses or whatever.
Mhm.
Were you one of them that came here?
Oh, to stay?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't, no. You're talking about the blizzard in 1978 or something?
Yeah.
We had a blizzard long before that when I was in school. In fact, it might have been the winter of 1937. I, of course, lived north of town, but everybody had their own, everybody stayed home. They didn't go to any central places, I recall. No. Okay. Hey, I thought, did it tell you not to run in the hallways still?
No, unfortunately.
The rest of them.
Aha. I had a little problem one day.
Hardcore, David.
I must have been an 8th grader. And I was in the upper hallway running from this old building into the new part. And I was running down the hallway and somebody opened Miss Oldham's door right in front of me and bang, I ran right into it. Just kind of half knocked me out. I fell on the floor. I got up, I was okay, but that taught me a lesson, don't run in the hallways. Yeah. Okay. Did I miss anything that you want me to know?
When there were just two buildings, did people walk back and forth between the two?
No, they did not, because classes were all separate. Yeah, high school classes were all here, and, well, middle school was here, 7th, 8th grade was also here. But no, they didn't walk back and forth. And, there was, I don't think there wasn't a cafeteria or kids ate in their classrooms maybe, yeah.
Do you remember when the middle part was built, was there any big celebration or any big program or?
I don't recall that there was, no. It was pretty exciting, of course, to be a 7th grader and be in a new school. But I don't recall we had any big opening ceremony. There might have been, but I'm too naive to remember that.
Do you have any unusual memories of the school, other than when you ran into the door?
Well, maybe not really. I had some close friends, I think all of you have that. Close friends in school. I remember going home with a boy, a close friend of mine one time, stay overnight. Maybe you kids do that now, I don't know. Do you do that? Yeah, okay. I know Miss Lewis's class, the art class, kind of interesting. I didn't have a feel for art. I was lousy. I couldn't draw or anything, but my sister did. And it's the exact opposite, and that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Did they still use to paddle you guys back then?
No, don't think so. Now, when I was in grade school, I remember a teacher paddling a student, and it just terrified me.
Can't stand getting paddled.
But I never got paddled. I was too withdrawn or weak or whatever. By the time I got to school, they may have paddled students, but I don't recall.
Did they have the coal furnaces in the building?
Yes, they did. Yeah, yeah. They had central heating by then. The old building had been converted so that they had. I can't recall what it was, but they didn't have stoves in each classroom anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Was there any serious injuries while you were here?
No, I don't think there was. No, nobody outside the usual things, kids falling down or something, but no one. I don't even recall any broken bones. No.
Sam, has the building caught on fire?
No, there's never any fires. No. Yeah.
Was there any damage at all by like wind or ice or anything like that?
Don't think so. Don't recall of any. No. No.
Do you know any good stories about the school?
No, not really. I don't. It was pretty normal. Pretty normal going to school every day.
Is there ever been a part of the building in which you've been afraid to go to?
No. I've been all of it, almost every part of it. And then it was bothering me. Yeah.
Do you know if it was built on an Indian burial ground?
I'm not familiar with the history of the location. No.
I think we've exhausted our questions.
No,
Did
I
I
have a
miss
question. I
anything?
can't remember what it is.
No, we just wanted to hear some of the stories about how the building was, well, this connecting part, that's great.
I grew up liking to read.
I love to read.
And this was the library.
Awesome.
This was the library when I got to high school.
So how did the library look?
It looked much the same, except the windows are all new and much larger.
Did it really have all them scrolls on the wall?
No, that was all just redecorated. Of course, the lights are all brand new. But it was the same location, and I spent a lot of time in here. I remember we had subscription to Reader's Digest, and I like to read Reader's Digest. And I read numbers of books, you know.
I found a picture that said 1917 and they called it a reading room. Do you ever recall anything called a reading room? It wasn't the library.
Yeah. No, nothing different from this.
I remember what my question was.
Okay.
On the way into the building, did you notice anything that's been changed?
Well, can't think of anything really outstanding. Seems to me there were not as many lockers as there are now, but the wood floor was still there, and the decor is still all the same. It's not been changed.
So basically, the structure after it was all added on stayed the same?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you see the elevators that they built in here?
In here?
Yeah, they have elevators
they
at the
do?
very end of the
Yeah.
hallway.
Oh. Well,
Now,
that's,
like when you walk into the gym, right past, if you don't go into the gym and go past, there's an
Okay.
You'll see the water fountain right next to the gym, and then if you look over, there's like this little box.
yeah, well, that's
Like in
something,
the elevator.
the elevator had to be added for handicapped students, what, numbers of years ago. Of course, that wasn't a consideration.
That's also used to move TV. From floor to floor.
Oh, okay. That's something heavy, yeah, right. I don't recall we had handicapped students. If students were handicapped, they probably didn't go to school in that era. So that's something new, yeah. That must have been quite a project to put an elevator in that space.
Since you went to a one-room schoolhouse, I know that doesn't have connection to this building. Do any of you kids have questions about what it was like to go to a one-room schoolhouse while he's here?
Yeah.
Is it cramped?
No, it wasn't cramped. It was decent size for the number of students we had. Had individual desks. Individual desks.
For outdoor
Some
school?
classes we have individual.
No, it was a one-room school for grades like 1 through 8.
And each desk had on the bottom was a groove to put your pencils in. And I think there was places underneath for books and notebooks. Here are individual things. And it was a pot-bellied stove at the back center of the room. And the teacher had to come early each morning and start in the wintertime and start the fire in the stove to warm the room. In front of the room had a little stage. It wasn't very much where she could teach from. And then each class, for mathematics or English or history or whatever, she would call each class up front for the first two rows, and teach from that place. The rest of the students worked on homework or whatever at their desks, and they had to have water to drink. And there were two farms that were close by, and at noon, 2 or 3 students were designated to take a bucket or 2 buckets and go to these farms and bring back fresh water for a thing they poured it in, I think, if I remember right. Yeah.
Would a one-room schoolhouse, would you prefer it over four classrooms?
No way. That was a drag. This was much, much nicer.
Since you guys didn't have computers back then, when you typed stuff up, did you use typewriters or did you always write by hand?
Always wrote by hand. We had typing classes when we got in high school. The typing room was right where the office is now over here.
Well, change it because the typing room is like right above us.
Now, okay. And I was in high school, I took a typing class, and that helped me with get my job that I have with the newspaper now, because my editor asked me if I could type, and I told him I had typing classes at Fredericktown High School. Yeah.
Would you tell them just a little bit about what you do now, because not everybody knows what you do?
Okay, I'm a photographer and a reporter for the Mount Vernon News. And when there's pictures, something to be taken to illustrate a story, I go with the reporter. And while she's on a story, I shoot pictures of whatever needs to be done to illustrate the story. And also write. I I used to have an auto column that I wrote, and back up a little bit. When I interviewed for the job, by the way, it's been almost 52 years ago now, 1955. The man who was then what we call city editor asked me if I could type, and I told him I had typing in high school, and that's all he said. And the first day I found out why. He started to teach me to write the first day. I had a desk and a typewriter and a telephone, what I shared with what we call the women's editor then, or society editor we call him. And the way they taught you to write was write obituaries. And I shared the telephone with the society editor, and we'd take turns taking obituaries from the funeral directors. And I went on from that to learn to write other things. And of course I had to develop film and make prints, and we had a dark room in the basement of the building at that time. And so after I took my pictures, I go down there and develop film and make pictures of prints to go in the paper. Over the years, we went from, I had used big cameras with big sheets of film. We went up to 35 millimeter film, which you know, and then a huge, huge change in photography came with digital, which came on about 5 years ago, and came on really quickly. And so Mount Vernon News is all digital now. My dark room is a mess. What's left of it? I had a really nice.
Sounds like my room.
And I hope my editor doesn't make me clean it up like tomorrow makes you clean your room.
My mom just thinks I clean my room.
Oh, okay.
We have about 5 minutes left. Is there?
I have 2 more questions. Do you have a granddaughter named Baby?
Jesus,
No.
Oh, dang it. And did you ever once go and take pictures of a 5th grade class at Ann?
Very likely I did. I've been in all the schools in the county at one time or another.
I think I remember you. We were doing like a play.
Uh-huh.
And no.
At
We
which school?
were interviewing.
Yeah, no, okay.
We were interviewing this veteran, and I can't remember what his name is now, but he lives like right on the school premises.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And he was complaining about the flag. It was
Oh, yeah,
always
I
up.
remember that. Yeah, I was there, yeah. I remember that. By the way, real quickly, in one last minute or so, we entered some pictures and stories in what we call Associated Press news contests for the state of Ohio. We got word back this morning that my editor and I won an award for the PPG fire last summer. And two of our writers won awards for a feature story that we did. So we're going to get some awards in a couple of months from Associated Press of Ohio.
That's pretty exciting.
And this morning, last thing, this morning, I started to work, and I will go to three Bakers Donut Shop, which is out on Coshocton Road. I get a couple of donuts to take to work and have my coffee when I start work. And I got back in my car, and I have a scanner in my car. Just got in my car, an injury crash east of Mount Vernon on Coshocton Road, and that scanner also has a two-way radio, and I can talk to my office. And this was an intersection that's kind of bad. Sometimes it's been really bad crisis. So I called my office, and my editor answered. And I told her that there was a crisis out there that could be bad, and I was going to go look at it. So I drove out there, and this was about just after 7:30. Found a SUV had driven off the road into a telephone pole, splintered it off, broke a junction box. Fortunately, the two women in the car, two small babies, and were all restrained, all belted in, nobody hurt. And interestingly enough, I heard this, it was only a couple of miles out there, and I beat the squads there. And when I left, State Patrol hadn't even arrived.
Wow.
You
So,
sound like a policeman. You have a scanner in your car and you drink coffee and eat donuts.
be careful.
Okay. Well, we thank you, Mr. Shipley, for coming in. You gave us a lot of information.
Please join me in welcoming Mr. Levy.
Okay, when were you a student in the building? Okay, when were you a student in the building?
I started here in 1927 as a freshman. Went to country school for first 8 years, and I graduated in 1931.
Was there any technology back then that has been updated?
Very little that I remember of.
Were there any scary moments or funny incidents?
I remember one time it was the room above us was where they played basketball, and the room over in the corner was the ag room, out in the ag class. And there came out another young man of mine, I don't remember his name. Excuse me. We came out of class and the girls were going to practice basketball. And they had an old upright piano and it was in the way. And they went to move it back. Instead of moving it endways, they moved it back and it started to tip back. And these two girls held up, bounced up there, and they yelled, and we flew across there and grabbed it and got it uprighted. It was fall, and you know, the old pianos were awful heavy. That was kind of a scary moment there.
Is there any particular rooms that you were scared to go in?
No, I guess not. I didn't care. My country school teacher wasn't the best teacher in English, and I kind of dreaded to go to English class. But I made some mistakes in English, and when we were a freshman, if you made a mistake, you had to put a penny in a can. So I kind of tried to be correct if you could. So I had to contribute once in a while to that can.
Were there any stories about the building or anything?
No, I don't recall anything particular. I know they played basketball, had the basketball games up there, and the old basketball, the hoops weren't suspended from the ceiling at that time like they are now. They were on wood frames. The one in the back sat on the floor and had padding around it in case they crashed into it. The one on the other side sat up on the stage. And that's where they played basketball. They just had the two teams, the girls team and the boys team. They didn't have a junior varsity at that time. And the girls, on basketball, they played another team. The girls played first and then the boys. That was the team. Our girls at that time played boys' rules, which was 5 on a team. Up until that time, and originally, I guess, the girls' rules were 6 on the team, and there was, I think, 2 or 3 of them didn't dare to cross the center line. They had to stay on one side. But our girls always played boys' rules, and it was interesting. My second wife was one of the players. She played on the team and enjoyed it. I knew all of them. We had it was one time. And we always had the Community Institute held there each year. They originally called it a Farmers Institute, and then they called it a Community Institute. And it was last, I don't know, 2 days, I think. And the students would make posters to advertise them. And they'd put them in the windows uptown at the grocery store. And we get the contest to see which one had the most unique or the nicest. And nice contest. So that was, always had our, the students always met up there for, in the morning.
Was there any special events or programs or anything?
No, I don't recall, anything. I remember one fun thing. Remember the Ritchie store, Ritchie grocery store, used to be up here, across from the post office? Well, that's a little ahead of your folks here. Sam Ritchie, one of the boys, he was pretty devilish, and he came to, I think it was after lunch period, he had chemistry over in the corner room there, and he was late, windows were open, and he heard him calling, the teacher was calling the roll. Sam comes up the steps over and crawled through the window and sat down in the back seat. Just as the teacher called Sam Ritchie, and he said, "Fred." And the teacher was the football coach, Mr. Moore, at the time. And he said, "Sam, I think you better go around and come in the proper way." So he went back out and in the proper way. That was kind of a fun thing. He was a year ahead of me, but my brother was in his class. That's how I come to know about that.
What was your favorite part of being a student here? Your favorite part of being a student here?
Oh, I don't know. I was a farm boy, and I was an ag class, and I think ag teacher, Mr. Winter, was here for years and years, and he not only taught us subjects that were on the list to be taught, but he could talk about most any subject intelligently, and we learned a lot from him. And one thing, he always called us men. He never said you boys. He always called us men, and that of course helped the ego. And he hated the smell of peanuts. We had 2 or 3 boys that would smuggle peanuts in, and he could tell. He said, "All right, if you got peanuts, pass them around. We'll all eat peanuts, and then we'll get down to business," he said. So that's one of the things I remember about him.
Are there any hidden rooms in the building that you know of?
Any
Hidden rooms?
hidden rooms? No, of course, at that time, there was rooms we weren't supposed to be in, I guess. We just respected that.
That's all I have. Do any of you guys have any questions?
What questions you guys have? Sam?
Did you have bells then?
Pardon?
Did you have bells then?
Did they ring bells between the classes? Or how did
Yeah.
you know to change class?
Yeah.
Jesse?
You know what happened to the tower? The bell tower?
The bell tower.
On the old building, the bell tower, they used to have a
Yes, I
tower.
remember that, but I don't remember that they used the bell when I went to school, but that was originally the schoolhouse in Fredericktown, because the kids in the country all went to country school, and just the ones in town went, the elementary went there, and the high school was there. Of course, it wasn't a very big class at that time, because many folks after they went through 8th grade didn't go to high school. So the high school classes were pretty small years ago.
Now, when you came in, you said this room was not a library.
No, this was the study hall when I came
And would there have just been a wall out there? Wouldn't that have been where the where the building stopped?
Yeah. It was open between here and the old building.
Was there just grass there, or were there paths, or?
Well, mostly just paths. I know we went down steps to go to the other building, because in our ag class, we had our farm shop, and that was in the basement of the old building. We had to go over there to do our carpenter work and repair harness and do things like that. So we did go over there for that in
Did they play football down there for high schoolers?
Back then, they played football in most any pasture field they could find around close. You know, we didn't have a regular football field. We had it in different areas. No bleachers or anything like that. So,
Did you play any sports?
no, I couldn't play sports. Matter of fact, I think I wasn't well coordinated enough to play basketball. I'd forget to dribble and so forth, and I wasn't very good at that. And wasn't big enough to play football, but we had an old Model T car, and we hauled other kids to school, 2 and 3 others, my brother and I. So we had to get them home, take them home. So we weren't involved in any sports. I did go out for track. Of course, we'd walk and run home. But that was my experience in sports. I didn't involved.
One of the people that we heard from said there was a story about a car being on the roof of the old high school building. Do you know anything about that story?
That was probably a Halloween prank.
Yeah.
No, that could have been after I was in school here, 'cause I don't remember that.
Who was your principal?
Mr. Coggins was our principal, Mr. Mason was our superintendent. And Mr. Coggins taught physics too, he was a teacher.
Did you guys ever get paddles back then? Or did that
Oh, yeah.
start until later?
Yeah, they had a paddle in the office. I've seen it, I never used it on me, but I always respected my teachers and so forth. But I've heard those different ones that they'd lean over a chair and apply the Board of Education. Yeah.
Do you remember, because there was a moose out here, do you remember that? The moose that was out here?
Yeah, it wasn't there when I was there, but I remember Mr. Struble lived back here, was a big game hunter, and that was one of his trophies, and he had it in the bank, and I think then they brought it to the school, didn't they? Now in the Judge Reicher's office. I didn't remember about it being in school, but I read that in the paper, but I remember seeing it in the bank. When they tore that down and built a new building, they brought it to the school, I guess. I didn't know that.
When they made the school that combined the two, was that a big deal in Fredericktown at the time?
Oh, yeah. And I think at that time they put the front or the face on the old building to kind of cover up. But, yeah, that was had a big building then when they combined the two. And they had the gym in that part. The old gym was down in the lower part of that new part there. When you went in, you went down the steps to the lower level.
You want to tell them just a little bit about what it was like in a one-room schoolhouse?
Well, I've always said I appreciated the time that I went to school in a one-room school. The first year was boring for me. It was the longest year of my life, sitting there, nothing to do. And just the one-room school, the first graders, we didn't have kindergarten back then, of course, or preschool. First graders sat down front, small desks. But you learn from the other bigger, older classes reciting. You learn from them. But it was hard for me to keep them turned around and see what was going on behind me. And, I'd get tapped on the head with a pencil once in a while. I'll tell you, kind of an amusing thing that we didn't have parent-teachers meeting then, but one time my father, I think maybe it was raining or something, and he came after us. And he talked to the teacher. He said, "How are the boys doing at school, my brother and I?" And she said, and I think I was probably in the 3rd or 4th grade. So she was my 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade teacher. She said, "Well, Gail," and that's my brother, said, "he's a very good student. And Chester has capabilities, but he has other interests." So I was kind of devilish, and I like to have fun. I've always had like to have fun. So that's the way she labeled me. I had other interests.
We heard from one person that said in high school that the freshmen got initiated.
Yes.
Did that happen when you were in school also?
Well, I avoided most of the, didn't have to sit on the fountain up in front of Fig's drugstore. They'd put kids on that fountain and they'd hold them there, they'd get soaked and things like that. And you had to wear a certain, a dunce cap or something for a while, and some things like that. They had some initiation for the freshmen. And they liked to pick on the kids that came in from the country because they were, some of the kids in town kind of looked down on us. They were kind of country kicks, and not all of them, but some of them did. So that was kind of a challenge too. And I remember later on, in years, I worked at the funeral home, and we buried a boy who was 14, that he died from pneumonia as a result of that initiation. So that kind of ended some of that, those pranks.
Were there any serious injuries or deaths?
Yes, they had, one time there was a load of youngsters going to a basketball or a football game in Danville. And they went from Howard cross country there, and I don't remember who was driving this car. It was a big old Studebaker, they called it a touring car, an open car. Going too fast, went around the curve, and didn't make the curve. One girl lost the sight of an eye. Another fellow came along that used to work in the stores here in Fredericktown, had a broken leg or hip, and he always limped. He had a short leg, he always limped after that. So that was kind of a bad situation. There were just too many kids, and the driver was thrown off a little, too much speed for the road conditions. That kind of shook things up.
In like poems and pictures, you talked about the dunce cap. It'll have like a picture of a kid sitting on a stool with a dunce cap in the corner. Did they ever do that to you?
Well, I think for a while, for the first month or 6 weeks in school, we had to, or when we were freshmen, yeah. But I was lucky to get off with that, you know, because some of the pranks weren't very good.
Did they have cafeteria here when you went to school?
The young town people all want home to eat, and we always carried them on. A few boys had cars, not very many. We drove an old Model T car, but we didn't dare drive it down here at noon or anything. But I had a friend that had a Model T, and his folks were a little more wealthy, and we would take a ride on at lunchtime. We'd never eat out of his car, and then take a little ride back until we got back.
Did you have an hour for lunch?
Yeah.
Anybody else have questions? Anything else before we stop today? Any other words of wisdom you'd like to give us?
Well, I remember one young man, Lionel Mullen, they lived over here out on what is now 95. He was always late in the morning, but he was dressed. He was always dressed up real nice. And he just never came sloppy or anything. He was dressed up, but he was usually late in the morning. It took him too long to get ready because we had physics class, I believe, over in the corner room, and we could see him coming down there, and they said, well, here comes Lionel, and he was all stretched up, so forth. And another thing was a kind of course, kids can be pretty mean at times, you know, to each other, but we had one young man that his parents were older, and his mother cut his hair and didn't have clippers. She just used scissors. And he had had white hair anyway. It was not blonde, it was white. But it was just all notched up the back, you know. It was just pitiful, but the kids made fun of him, you know. But he turned out to be a smart man and a businessman and so forth. But that was kind of a thing to remember, you know, seeing him.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for coming in and sharing with us. We appreciate it.
Good experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Stetson has been a teacher in this building for a long time. As a matter of fact, he worked here in 4 different decades. I'm sure he has many stories. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Stetson.
Is there any particular room in the building that you have a story about?
Room 110. That's Mrs. Murphy's room now. She's in there. That was my room for a few years. Actually, I have 2 stories about that room. The first, and this goes back a long time, there was a science phys ed teacher here by the name of Mr. Spurlock, and I was in the room in the morning teaching science. I went downstairs in the present room where Mrs. Parker is at now and taught American history, and he came in the afternoon and taught science in there. So, if you're all aware, there's a closet in the front corner of the room. Are you aware of that closet? Yeah. Well, he would tell the kids that Bigfoot lived in that closet. And one day, we normally keep the door closed and locked because there's a lot of chemicals in there, and we didn't want the kids getting in the room. So one day the room was open, and the kids told Mr. Spurlock, "Hey, it's open, Bigfoot's not in there." And Mr. Spurlock explained to the kids that Bigfoot had gone to Washington State to visit relatives. And a few days later, he brought in a postcard from Washington State from Bigfoot saying he was having a good time visiting his relatives. He would be back soon. And of course, the kids were all going, "Oh, yeah, right." Well, it was about a week after that, there was a 6th grade teacher here by the name of Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper brought a gorilla outfit to school and put it on after lunch and hid in that closet so that when Mr. Spurlock's class came in, and of course somebody inevitably brought up about Bigfoot, and they said, "We don't believe that Bigfoot's in the closet." And there was a young man here, I think he's still around, Larry Shunky. He opened the closet door. They go, "We'll prove to you, Mr. Spurlock, that there's no Bigfoot here. Let us open the door." So Mr. Spurlock gave him the key, and they unlocked it and opened the door. And Mr. Cooper jumped out, "Rah!" like that, and then ran out of the room. And it scared the kids pretty good. But that was a pretty good practical joke. And then the other story I have about that room, if you look in the ceiling above the lab table, there's 2 black marks in the ceiling. And I always did a demonstration with, this one I was teaching chemistry. I did a demonstration with a group of elements that react very strongly with water. They're the alkali metals, and one of those metals is potassium. And if you would put potassium or any other alkali metal in water, it burst into flames, sparks, smoke, and the whole 9 yards. Well, I put in a piece of potassium that was a little bit too big, and it caught fire and stuff, but it exploded, and pieces went up and bedded itself into the ceiling. And I thought I was going to have to use the fire extinguisher, but it didn't burn very long. I had it out ready to use it, and then it stopped burning. So that's the 2 stories about that room. Any what? Hidden rooms? Not that I know of. The only place that most people don't go, I worked here for several years with the school. I would, in the summertime, paint and mow, and there were several times I got to go up into the attic. How many of you knew there was an attic in this building? Have you been up there? That's the only place that I would know if the kids generally don't see.
Do you have a favorite room or a least favorite?
A favorite room or a least favorite room? Probably the room I would consider my most favorite would be the science room downstairs, room 8. Who's the teacher in there now?
Booth.
Mrs. Booth, because that's the room where I started when I first started teaching here. I took over for a teacher by the name of Mr. Hicks, and that's where I started.
Do you have any scary stories about the building?
Not that I could think of.
Was the building built on any burial ground, do you know?
Not that I know of.
Did anyone die here?
Not that I know of.
Has the building ever been damaged?
The only damage that I know of is at the north end of the building. The top floor always had trouble at this time of the year when you had a lot of ice and then melting. they would have buckets in those rooms all the time because water would just pour in those rooms. That's the only damage I knew.
Has it ever been spray painted or toilet papered?
It's been toilet papered a few times, yes. And kids have sprayed shaving cream on the windows and put soap on the windows.
What special programs do you remember in the building?
Special programs. Mostly sports, because I coached while I was here, and the one sporting event that I remember more than any other, it was 1982, right in that area. We were hosting the league tournament here, and we were in the MOC at that time. Highland, Mount Gilead, Cardington. Marion Catholic was in the league at that time. This was 8th grade basketball, and we were playing the championship game in this gym down here. And Fredericktown was playing Marion Catholic, and I remember they put a set of bleachers on the stage so kids could sit there. I'm not sure how that got past the fire marshal, but because I think we exceeded the limit for what that gym could hold. But I remember there were just people just crammed in there like crazy. And I remember we were behind by 9 points at halftime. And we had halftime, we came out, we scored the first 12 points of the third quarter. And we took the lead in the game, and I can remember the kids were really excited. The kids in the bleachers were yelling. It was just really exciting, and I'll remember that all my life. It was really something special. We ended up winning the game, and that was really something. Had a lot of people in that little gym down there.
What famous people visited the building, or what famous people attended the school?
Well, the most famous probably person that I know of that attended the school was Ollie Klein. He went on and became a professional football player. He played for, I know, the Chicago Bears. He played for Ohio State, and he held all the rushing records for Ohio State. Does anyone know who broke his rushing records at Ohio State? I'll give you a hint. Two-time Heisman Trophy winner. He's the only player that won the Heisman Trophy back-to-back.
George Smith?
No. Archie Griffith broke Ollie Klein's rushing records at Ohio State. There was a picture that hung down in the lower hallway for a long time of Ollie Klein. I'm not sure where that picture has gotten to. Probably famous people that have visited the school would be politicians. We've had representatives. Oh, just thought of somebody. How many of you have heard of a professional baseball player? He played for the Los Angeles Dodgers by the name of Tim Belcher. Okay, Tim Belcher went to school at Highland, and I coached when Tim Belcher played sports, and in fact, it was the team I was just telling you about earlier. He came over and he spoke to that team before one of our basketball games. And I remember the kids thinking that was pretty neat that he would take time to come over and speak. Of course, it was during the winter, and he was between seasons, but that was fairly exciting for the kids. They really liked that.
How has the school been served as a community, or how has the building been used besides the school?
The building, it was never used, but there used to be national defense symbols in case of a nuclear attack. they had symbols. The cafeteria area was, in case of an attack, was to be used by the community for a fallout shelter. It's been used as a church on Sundays. Other than that, I can't. Yes. Back at that time, there was a lot that we didn't know. Okay, and as it turns out, you're absolutely correct. It wouldn't have protected anybody, but I think it gave people confidence because at least there was a plan. You know, at least there was something to do. That's better than not having any type of plan.
How have classrooms and or subjects being taught and equipment being changed?
Oh gosh. If you had a report to do, most teachers at that time didn't require that it was typed, but high school would type reports, and they had to use the old manual typewriters. There were no phones in the teachers' rooms. There were no computers. So if you had to use the telephone, everybody had to use the one in the office. So the computers have been the biggest change. Oh, and then the old reel movies, 16 millimeter movies they used to have. And instead of DVDs or VHS tapes, we used to get the old reels. We'd order them from Richland County, Mansfield Library. And they would send us movies, and we'd have to use the old projectors to show those movies.
Do you have any funny stories about the building, or any stories that you would just want to tell us about?
Yeah. When Mr. Erick was the principal here, one year he was absent on his birthday. Mr. Erick did not miss school very often. I don't know if he had a meeting to go to.
He was here and we interviewed him, so they should remember him.
Okay. And Mr. Erick was always concerned about his office. You know, if you wasn't supposed to be in there if he wasn't here. Well, he was gone on his birthday, and we teachers brought balloons to school and filled them with air, and we literally packed his office with balloons while he was gone. There was another story. Ask me that question again.
Or do you have any funny stories you would like to share with us, or any stories you would like to?
When this was the high school, well, all the grades were in this building. There was I won't name the football coach, but the high school football coach taught in Mrs. Parker's present room. And the principal at that time was trying to find him, and he wasn't in the room, and there was a movie shown. You guys know where the elevator is at now? Okay, that room was the old locker room before they built the elevator. They found him in there asleep. And the movie that he was showing in his room, and it was Exotic Dancers of the South Pacific. He was a history teacher. And so that was kind of a standard joke around here for a long time. If you didn't have anything to do in class, everybody brought up, well, show that movie, Exotic Dancers of the South Pacific. So, you know, it would be the hula dancers, you know. So that was pretty funny, I thought.
What will you miss about the building after it's gone?
Oh gosh, just so many memories about sports activities, and we teachers would joke. Oh, I saw another funny story. The office used to be over here, where the present office where Mrs. Funkston is at, and then the secretary was in the room where Mrs. Glass was at. And Mr. Erick was having a meeting with a parent, and this father had a reputation of being rough and gruff and mean, and I remember Mr. Spurlock. Remember I mentioned him earlier with Bigfoot? He was outside the door here, and I came down and asked him what he was doing, and he says, well, this might not be a very friendly meeting with the principal, and I want to make sure that it goes okay, that Mr. Erick doesn't need my help. Well, there was some loud voices coming from the office, and Mr. Spurlock heard the man saying, well, I'm going to come over this desk and beat you up, to the principal. And Mr. Spurlock went flying into the office, and he said, over my body, and they had set him up to run in there. So at the end of the year, we got Mr. Spurlock a Superman outfit so that he could wear that when he wanted to rescue people. So it's those kinds of things that went on here. And the sporting events, a lot of sports memories. You know, we used to play football back here. Instead of going to the high school, this was the football field. When I first started here, we didn't have 7th grade football. 8th grade football was the first year. We didn't even have Colt League back at that time. The first year of football was the 8th grade. Does anyone know the name of the football field back here? It does have a name.
They've heard it, they probably don't remember it.
Okay, it was called Struble Field. The Strubles were the bankers here in town for a long time, and that's the Struble family who owns that field.
Struble family was the man that was the wild game hunter who got the moose that we talked about, Gus the moose.
Okay.
Do any of you have questions for Mr. Stetson?
Yes. I played football. I didn't play basketball, or I did not participate in track, but I coached those sports mainly at the junior high level. And you don't have to have a high degree of knowledge. I did take college courses on coaching basketball and coaching track and that sort of thing, but for junior high sports, I think it's more important that the person who coaches just basically gets along with the kids well. And it's not real important about how much you know or how much strategy you know, because it's just, you know, time when kids just begin to learn about the sport. And when junior high, my main thing was to have fun. Yes?
When did you start teaching?
My first year at Fredericktown was 1972. Yes?
Is there any room you're free to go in?
No. Yes?
Do you remember anything about Gus the Moose?
No, I didn't. In fact, this was the first time I've heard of anything about it.
Why don't you tell him about Gus?
Yeah, why don't you tell me about Gus?
They found, he was hanging up by the office and in the hallways and stuff, and they found stuff that was hung on his antlers, like coats, and on one occasion they found a jock strap.
Oh, oh, okay.
Sam, you want to just...
We found the pictures of you.
Oh no.
Yearbook.
How old are they?
Starting from
Wow.
1970.
Oh wow. Well, thank you. I sure changed a little bit, didn't I?
Anybody else have any questions or anything? Well, thank you very much for coming up and giving us some new information.
Okay. See you again.